Most of you aren't subscribed. Make sure to transform that subscribe button, as it helps out the channel. Without further ado, with Levi offering to personally train Eren in the Survey Corp, we witness as news spreads of the Titan shifter. With Pixis and Erwin unable to free Eren from jail, the two await Eren's trial, under Commander-Chief Darius Zackley. With Mikasa and Armin allowed to sit in on Eren's trial, Hange escorts Eren to the military court, where he's held in place, as hundreds of observers stand in watch. With Zackley starting the trial, he informs Eren that his fate will be decided today, determining whether he'll be handed over to the police corps or the Survey Corp. Allowing the police corps to speak first, the soldiers demand that Eren be executed, as having him would spark many issues, fearing he may betray humanity. With the Survey Corp speaking next, Erwin states that he intends to make use of Eren's physique to take back Wall Maria. When questioned about Erwin's plan, Erwin is able to give a detailed explanation of their plan, which makes the police corp uncomfortable. With a noble speaking up, Levi scolds the lazy noble, as the noble simply intends to seal themselves away from the outside world. With the police corp attempting to drag Mikasa into the trial, Eren becomes enraged, calling everyone out for never even fighting a Titan, yet they have authority to make decisions on the matter. With the police corp ready to shoot down the pissed Eren, Levi swiftly knocks some sense into him, going overboard ensuring that Eren is disciplined. Realizing Levi is the best suited to look after and dispose of Eren, on the off chance he goes rogue, Zackley assigns Levi as Eren's personal escort, along with Eren joining the Survey Corp. Apologizing for using Eren, Erwin welcomes Eren to the team, which gives Eren a chance to understand Levi having knocked out one of Eren's tooth. Levi, Hange and Erwin all realize that Eren's tooth had regenerated. With the Survey Corp moving to a new headquarters, to accompany Eren, Eren begins to memorize his fellow soldiers, all handpicked by Levi, and the people that will bring him down, if he were to attack humans. With the Corp cleaning up their new headquarters, Eren learns, from Levi, that his room will be below the castle, as a contingency if he were to transform whilst asleep, allowing soldiers to easily contain him. With Levi heading elsewhere, Eren chats with Petra, who cheers Eren up, informing him that Levi is quite stiff, following all orders given, but he wasn't always like this, having grown up underground, before being recruited by Erwin. With Levi ending their conversation, we cut to Erwin, who's speaking with one of his soldiers, hinting at a possible plan for the future. With Eren sitting down and speaking with the Survey Corp soldiers, Eren attempts to remember how it was transforming into a Titan, but is unable to. With each soldier knowing that Erwin is already planning to make use of Eren's Titan form, everyone is interrupted by Hanges, who asks if Eren will allow her to rack his mind tomorrow. Revealing that she is in charge of studying Titans, Hange begins to narrate her findings, having experimented on captured Titans. Confirming that Titans are non-responsive, she adds that Titans have different behaviors, with some being more energetic, whilst others simply lie in wait, moving only if they spot prey. Additionally, Titans need sun, as a lack of it causes them to lose energy. Finally, attempts to sever the head in the past ended in failure, as the neck had been slit in the process. All of a sudden, Hanges is alerted that her current Titan captures had been executed by a soldier, having snuck in, and cutting to Eren's friends, we witness every soldier being checked if they had their maneuvering gear, and whether it was used, attempting to track down the culprit. With Jean revealing that he will still join the Survey Corp, Armin joins in, thanking Annie for worrying about them. Back with Eren, we see him along with Survey soldiers head back to the capital. With the night of recruiting starting, Commander Erwin steps up giving a speech, attempting to persuade soldiers to join. Dropping his facade, Commander Erwin begins to state their mission of heading to Dr. Yeager's basement, and that past Survey soldiers have died, stating that in the past years 60% of soldiers have died, and in their next mission 30% will most likely die. Having revealed all the facts, all soldiers turn their backs, looking for other positions in other corps. Witnessing everyone leave, Eren's friends begin to question their decision, but stand firm, even though they fear death. With all accepted into the Survey Corp, they begin to learn formations, and how they will divide and conquer Titans during their expedition. Realizing Eren's position is not disclosed, we cut to Eren, who's having private training with Survey soldiers, in preparation for their expedition. Later that evening, Eren greets Mikasa and Armin, after a long time, with everyone greeting Eren. Eren learns of Marcos' mysterious death. Chatting privately with Eren, everyone makes sure to remind Eren that they are depending on him, as it's no longer training, but the actual deal, with their lives on the line. With the 57th expedition commencing, the Survey Corps head beyond the walls. Passing through the Titan-infested village, Commander Erwin immediately calls for everyone to get into formation, which is designed to spread their forces out, whilst being able to relay. Additionally, the whole formation is centered around the idea of avoiding Titans, making use of red flares to signal nearby Titans, and green flares to guide soldiers away from these Titans. In special cases, black flares are used to signal peculiar Titans, aberrants, who act in unorthodox manner, and should be slayed upon first greetings. With soldiers working together to slay aberrant Titans, even in the flat terrain, Armin encounters an intelligent Titan, similar to Eren, questioning who it may be, and their reason for appearing. Having knocked Armin from his horse, the female aberrant Titan leans over, unveiling his hood, only to smirk and run off. With Reiner rushing over to pick Armin up, they immediately fire a yellow flare, attempting to abort the mission. Learning that the right side of their formation had been overrun by Titans, led by the female Titan, Armin is able to deduce that the female is looking for Eren. Unsure of Eren's position, within the formation, Armin makes an educated guess that Eren is either towards the center or near the rear. Instructing Jean and Reiner to put their hoods up, to help throw off the female, closing in on the female, the three attempt to slow it down, swiping at its Achilles, but the female Titan is able to cut off Jean's advances and swipe Armin away. Having made an opening for Reiner, Reiner dashes towards the female Titan's neck, but is caught, only to be squished. Before he is killed, he cuts himself free, rushing away with Armin. Suddenly the female Titan begins running towards the center of the formation, leaning towards the rear. With the three seeking cover, they realize that Jean's horse is missing, meaning someone will have to stay behind. As Reiner tends to Armin's wounds, Armin can't let go of the fact that the female Titan looks awfully familiar. Snapping out of it, Armin fires a purple flare, which luckily signals Historia over, who's able to bring an additional back with Eren. We see him comforted by multiple green flares, signaling no issues. But learning that a Titan had breached their formation and destroyed their right wing, Levi is instructed to continue the mission. As the female Titan continues to make its way towards the rear center, it easily outsmarts the soldiers, making random but precise movements to kill the attacking soldiers. With Levi's squad heading into a forest, adjacent squads are baffled, as their training never involved entering a forest. Forced to follow Erwin's orders, the adjacent squads ditch their formation, and hop onto the trees of the forest, where they're out of reach of the Titans. With Eren questioning Commander Erwin's intentions for heading into a forest, Levi points out their advantage in the close-quarters terrain, able to maneuver in and out of trees. But upon glancing at the other squad members' faces, Eren realizes that no one really knows the reason for entering the forest. Just then, Eren realizes that the female Titan has discovered his location. Continuing to flee from the female Titan, Levi fires off a sound shot, but demands the troops to continue to flee, keeping it away from Eren at all cost. With Eren witnessing several soldiers giving their lives to distract the female Titan, Eren attempts to bite his finger and transform. Before he's able to do so, he's asked to trust in Erwin's plan, but Levi adds that it's better to do something you won't regret. Offering that from his past experience, Levi has found that following the orders of Erwin and fighting as a team is always the best option. Flashing back, we see Levi discuss possible ways to subdue Eren if he were to turn against them. Questioning if they can cut Eren's limbs without killing him, the gang set out for an experiment involving Eren. With Eren positioned in a well, he attempts to bite his thumb and transform. With fellow soldiers calmly cheering Eren up, Eren reaches for a spoon, which sparks a transformation. Having half transformed, Eren turns to reassure his fellow soldiers, only to witness their frightened glares. With Levi stepping in to calm his soldiers down, Hanges rushes to the scene to inspect Eren's half-transformed limb. Pulling himself out of the shell, Eren chats to Levi, who reassures him that his soldiers didn't intend to turn against Eren. It was simply a human reaction, to want to fight something they're unsure about. With Levi and Eren talking to Hanges, she reveals that Eren was unable to transform in the well because he didn't have a goal, and that all the times he had transformed successfully was because he had a goal, whilst inflicting pain on himself. Back in the present, Eren chooses to trust Commander Erwin's commands, continuing through the forest. With the female Titan closing in on Eren, we see it caught in Commander Erwin's trap, firing hundreds of threads through the female Titan, trapping it in place. With Levi ordering Eren away from the female Titan, Levi meets up with Commander Erwin, both curious about who is controlling the female Titan. Back with Armin, we see that several soldiers are still stationed among the trees awaiting Commander Erwin's orders, helplessly watching the stray Titans learn to climb trees. Flashing between Armin and Eren's groups, we see both groups realize that Erwin's plan all along was to capture the rogue female Titan, trusting only those who had lived 5+ years. As a spy, Maeve infiltrated their ranks after the outer wall was attacked by the colossal Titan. Additionally, men like Pixie and Erwin are people willing to sacrifice hundreds of lives, if it means that they'll help humanity learn the truth of the Titans. With Erwin continuing to fire several wires into the female Titan, to restrain its movements, Erwin signals for his men to having covered its neck with its hands, the female Titan hardens its hands, breaking the soldiers' blades. With Erwin readying the cannons to blow off the female Titan's palms, Levi taunts the female Titan, mentioning how he'll personally torture the person who killed all of his soldiers. With the female Titan listening to Levi's words, it suddenly lets out a monstrous scream, throwing everyone off guard. Suddenly a soldier reports to Erwin that several Titans are heading towards their direction. Realizing that all the Titans are targeting the female Titan, Commander Erwin orders to protect the female Titan, but realizes that they are outnumbered, forcing his men to retreat, as they observe the female Titan be devoured. Realizing that they failed their mission, Erwin fires a flare to retreat, commanding Levi and his men to suit up. Back with Eren, we see him and his fellow soldiers head back, following a green flare. Joking around, the gang are caught off guard by an assailant, who Erwin deduces is the female Titan Shifter, who has returned to their human form, and is disguised as a soldier. Cutting between Erwin and Armin, it's revealed that the assailant must be someone who had seen Eren transform, and that the assailant must be more experienced than Eren, possibly able to transform into its Titan form multiple times. Right on cue, the assailant transforms back into its Titan form, chasing after Eren. With Petra and 2 other soldiers staying back to hold back the female Titan, Eren continues back to headquarters. With the 3 soldiers able to blind the female Titan, they cut at its limbs, stopping the Titan from moving its arms. Going in to finish off the blind Titan, we see it kill one of the soldiers, having prioritized regenerating a single eye. Caught off guard, the female Titan kills Petra, only to harden its neck to avoid being cut at the neck. Realizing that his comrades are dead, Eren transforms, alerting Mikasa, Armin and Levi to his location. Enraged, Eren charges the female Titan, swinging sporadically at her. Easily dodging Eren's blows, the female Titan gets caught and mounted by Eren. With Eren bringing his fist on the female Titan, she was able to dodge, taking the opportunity to dismount him. Exchanging several more blows, the female Titan is able to fortify her fist, catching Eren off guard, severing his head, whilst keeping his neck intact. Devouring Eren as a whole, Mikasa arrives right on time, chasing after the fleeing female Titan. Slashing at the tired female Titan, Levi interrupts, pulling Mikasa back. With the 2 working together, they set the goal of retrieving Eren. With Levi blinding the female Titan, Mikasa attempts to kill the female Titan, but is tricked, forcing Levi to step in, distracting the female Titan, slashing at its jaw. Spotting Eren still alive, Levi retrieves the unconscious Eren, heading back to headquarters, leaving the female Titan alive. Upon returning home, Levi grabs pieces of the Fallen's uniform, as ways to remember their sacrifices. Unable to recover all of the Fallen's bodies, the Survey Corp returns to the village, unable to look the Fallen's family members in the eyes, having failed their mission. Following Annie, we see her called out by Hitch, another female Police Corp member, for constantly sleeping in and slacking. Additionally, Marlowe, a self-righteous member of the Police Corp, attempts to correct his superiors for slacking off, but is instead burdened with leading the patrol along with escorting Eren and the Survey Corp somewhere. Out on the patrol, Marlowe once runs into some policemen, selling off government goods. Deeming them as corrupt, Marlowe attempts to shame them for doing an unjust thing, but instead is beaten by the 2 men, forcing Annie and Hitch to apologize. Now tasked with escorting Eren, Annie is called away by Armin, pleading with her to help sneak Eren out of the city. After several words of convincing, Annie folds, agreeing. Asking about Armin's plan, Mikasa, Armin and Eren lead Annie to a secluded area, heading into an underground tunnel. With the three heading down, Annie begins to act strange, refusing to head into the dark tunnel. Realizing that the area is too quiet, Annie questions Armin, only to be asked why she had Marco's maneuvering gear. Attempting to play it off, Armin reveals that she is the female Titan, causing Annie to jump with joy, amazed at Armin's thinking. With Annie attempting to transform, several men hold her, but it's too late. With Annie transforming into the female Titan, the three run deeper into the underground tunnel hoping to escape out the other end. Sadly, Annie cuts off their exit, prompting Eren to make an exit for the three. Chained down by the thought of having to kill a friend, Eren is unable to transform, forcing Armin and Mikasa to distract Annie, buying time for Eren to escape. With Armin and Mikasa splitting up and leaving the tunnel, Eren is pummeled by the collapsing tunnel. With Annie attempting to flee, Mikasa and other soldiers attempt to slow down Annie. Cutting to Levi and Erwin, we see them held back by the foolish police corp who still don't know what is happening. With Hanges slowing Annie down, Armin is able to give Eren some words of wisdom. Eren is able to prioritize humanity's safety over a single traitor's life. With Eren knocking Annie down, she attempts to flee, only to realize there is no escape. Taking a fighting stance, Annie is able to dispatch Eren, as everyone helplessly watches. Fueled with hatred, Eren rises, lunging at Annie, taking her back. Able to break free, Annie dashes towards the wall, scaling it with her fortified fingers. But Mikasa cuts off her escape, sending her to the ground, as her life flashes before her eyes. Realizing Eren is about to eat her, Annie infuses herself in crystal, making her completely immobile, but also immune to any damage. With Commander Erwin reporting his involvement with the female Titan, the nobles agree to let the Survey Corp off the hook, giving Annie over to Commander Erwin. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe.